Show. Okay, well, hi, this is Tim Lundquist again. This is the stack on restorative deep organic farming and natural farming and how profitable it is and how much better for the environment it is. It's a complete conversion of a landscape that is currently in steady decline into a restored and very much improved manner. It's an interesting number, just acres and farmland, just so we have an idea about New York State, with Connecticut at less than 300,000, Massachusetts less than 400. New York State has 7.5 million acres of farmland. A lot of that's not great, but the bottom line is that's what things. At 7.5 million acres, the largest unified agricultural landscape east of the Mississippi. And we're actually within 1 day's delivery of 50 million metropolitan customers. And we're going to explain later this new direct form of feeding people direct from the farm or from the garden direct to their plate through a community-supported agriculture model, which is this very profitable and sophisticated and enabling model for everybody involved. So we'll get to that in a minute, but it's just an extraordinary, New York State has a landscape that literally should be the breadbasket to the entire Northeast part of the continent within 10 years. Back in the day in the late 1800s, I guess it was, they built the Erie Canal as a way of bringing in cheaper grains from the Midwest or whatever the reason was, or real estate or something. But they ended up with this waterway, which is now we can deliver the food to metropolitan New York and to Albany for less cost per calorie than any other state in the union because of this already installed infrastructure. So I met with the folks from the Erie Canal, and they gave me an interesting number at $120 a barrel. It is as cheaper to put it on a refrigerated canal barge than it is to put it in a semi to run it to New York. So in the Hudson River Valley in particular, that's why we're planning on pioneering this in both Columbia and Ulster County, it's based on this proven model, okay? And I hope this isn't turning up upstairs. I don't think it is. But let's get to the next slide. Stop. There you go. Okay. Sorry, that was a technical difficulty. Here's the growth in organics and naturals, and it's 20% a year. It's been consistent over 20 years. I mean, when are we going to wake up and start taking advantage of this market? And during that period, that 30 years, there were all these really great craft and inventive gardeners and organics, and there was a whole tradition of organic gardening that came from Europe back into the 1600s. I mean, Christ, there weren't chemicals until in the late 1800s. So it was, and here's just an example of a couple of those innovators that have come along. This is my favorite, one of my real heroes. It's Elliot Coleman, who is doing extraordinary numbers with greenhouses now that are on wheels that he can move in rotation over crops. And this gets rid of all the pathogen problems you normally find with greenhouses. And he has this very, very efficient production value now, and he grows year-round without any supplemental heat in the state of Maine. Here's another one of those operations showing about 1.5 acres worth of land with 4 rolling greenhouses, and this is producing over $90,000 for that acre. So then in 1986, a gal comes up with a wonderful new way of marketing food from the small farm, and that was that a food club or a community-supported agriculture club, members joined the farm before the season and paid their annual dues for weekly delivery of food throughout the season. So the farmer has no receivables, he has the money's in the bank, and is given to him as he delivers the share percentages over the 25-week season in New York State. And this has so many collateral benefits in terms of the health of the relationship between the customer and knowing the farmer. And it helps New York State tremendously because it becomes known as this restorative, wonderful leader of returning us to a great agrarian landscape. This just helps everybody in the state on every level. Big jobs. Here's a map at the large community-supported agriculture farm, 1,000 member shares. That's about 3,000 liters. There's 3 people are fed per share. Share costs $6.50 a year, or like 25 weeks of fresh delivery. That's with 30 acres in annual production. and he rotates that over greening manures and resting the rest of the other 70 or 80, whatever, 60 acres, 70 acres. But his gross annual membership fees in the CSA are $650,000. He has himself, his wife, and 3 employees. Here's a 6-acre intensive production garden CSA with only 225 members. It's a quarter the size at $650 per year. But the gross annual membership into this CSA is $150,000, and the staff is a master farmer and 2 full-time gardeners. So we just backed up here some examples of projected income statements and some based on some real professional gardens, and you see that they have quite an extraordinary return even after paying the labor. So even if you had a turnkey operation come onto a private piece of property and say, you put the infrastructure in and the cooler and the fence, we'll farm it for you. Even if after you pay the farmer a fair rate and everything else and all the materials and all the costs, it still has an extraordinarily profitable return. So this is a way of climbing back out of this economic abyss we face. So let's use the USDA performance and use it against this one. In Columbia County, the average farm is 200 acres, generates about $430 per acre. Production premium organic vegetables generated over $21,000 per acre, or 50 times more productive in dollars than current practice. So here's a harvest schedule. You see the quality and the type of thing. This is really just extraordinarily, it'll change people's health in the first 6 months, and it will change their life health in a year or two of coming back to this best food. And it's New York State taking care of its own.